we'll upload it after and put it on YouTube. So welcome, and let me just get everything settled here. Normally I've done this all before, but my wonderful Mac did update and took about half an hour, so this is perfect timing. Luckily, otherwise I had to take an emergency computer. So a few things we're going to talk about today, right? First of all, as always, if you have questions, shoot them in the question pane. And I just want to double check my settings that my phone is running on the right one. And it seems to be correct. Yeah, you can see that. You see my camera, you see my screen. If there's any questions, again, hit them in the Q&A and I'll answer them as we go along. Thank you. So since last time I did a webinar, it's been a couple of weeks since I did it, and I'll start doing them weekly. So you can join ad hoc, same time every single week. And there will come a landing page on our website now for that. We did a few updates. So one of the major one is the ability to capture a screenshot of somebody from LinkedIn. I will show you how those works in automations today. And then hopefully, while we're doing the demo, I get the new build uploaded so I can show you the new unified inbox. Waiting for somebody to upload it. So that should come during the webinar, and then hopefully I get to show you that. So let's start out by showing you how the templates are being updated and working. So I created already I'm cheating. So I created the image personalization template. So basically what this template does, how it'll work in your automation, and it works both for Sales Navigator and regular LinkedIn. So how it's precisely working is, first of all, the subject, you can use the variables as always. So you can insert any variable as first name, last name, company name, and title. I do this one, put in the company name and Salestools. This is actually a good converting template that I've been testing over the last weeks. The first day I put it on, I booked 3 demos while I was sleeping. I stayed up to 2 o'clock and then I did some testing and put it to run for the US time zone while I went to bed. And this actually, while I was sleeping, converted the first 3 demos. All of them are customers today, regular customers. That's great. So basically how that works is we have this blue button right here. And when you press it, it's going to put in my beautiful screenshot. We do recommend to change that. So you do that by clicking right here, and you click here, you can upload a new screenshot, or you can take an image that sits online. That's one way you can do it. You can also just delete if you just want the LinkedIn screenshot, and you can modify the sizing by clicking right here. Now I am clicking myself out. So that's good. I have to save it before. So let's just go back here. Just gonna delete myself and delete that one. Perfect. There we go. So now I modify this picture. If you want it to be more white, the LinkedIn picture, then you can adjust the settings as well, so it's a little bit more not stressed out. Basically, that's super simple. So you can set that up for your campaign if you want. And basically, the idea is you can say, "Hey, I was just checking out your LinkedIn profile. I love what you do at company." Then you show yourself pointing at them, actually show social proof that you did spend time visiting them, and then you go to your call to action. So how do you use this in reality is, it's super simple. So you go in and build a new automation. I'm just going to move my screen here. Then you go to LinkedIn, and you can do both Sales Navigator and regular LinkedIn. I do recommend, if you want to use Sales Navigator, we can do that. The problem is, for example, I'll show you this one. You will get a screenshot from LinkedIn. So basically, it will be screenshotting this part. If you don't want that, then you have to, and you want to use Sales Navigator, I'll show you how to do that. So let's take that example. So I do a search here, let's say VP of Sales. So I run a search of VP of Sales, and as always, I will take whoever has been active the last 30 days. And the reason why I do that, I ensure they actually are in the job. So if I take this, I copy the URL, I'm going to say I start with a search link. Let's say I want to download, let's say 500 people. We call them profile screenshot. I always tag my things so I can figure out where it came from later if I'm mixing campaigns. They go VP Sales. I also select that I want to remove the prospect from an automation if they reply to me on LinkedIn or email, because then the automation automatically stops. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, as I showed you right here, you want to avoid the Sales Navigator profile and have the regular LinkedIn profile. If you want to do that, then you have to go in and take here, Sales Navigator to LinkedIn URL. This will run 100 profiles a day, not more. And we do that to make sure we don't do too many requests on your behalf to LinkedIn. Now, the next part you're going to do is, and I will basically, typically, to avoid, since this is just email, not search all of them, I will go in and say, okay, let's just remove this one and say, whoever has the email verified, we just need to redo that one. Then I'm going to say, I will take the conversion at this stage instead. So I take the LinkedIn URL here, and after I got the LinkedIn URL, then we're going to say profile screenshot. It's important you do the profile screenshot. Otherwise, we'll not take a profile screenshot because we need to open the profile, then we screenshot them. And then in that template, we embed and change the image for you live. If this part is missing, they will not do so. And then you're not able to do this automation. So that's like the principle of how the screenshot automation works. Then of course, you're gonna do the last step is you're gonna take your image personalization template, and then you hit apply, and then you can send out that email. Now, typically what we then do is we might do a follow-up template that will come out a bit later. We might even send a LinkedIn message. Let's go here. Sorry, I wanted to put a delay. So say I wait 2 days, then send them regular LinkedIn message saying, hey, I sent you an email. As an example. So let's go to message sender. So we're going to say, hey, and then put in the variable for first name. Then we write, just send an email over 2 days ago. Wonder if you had a chance to read or whatever it is. Then you apply that. And then you can go in and build a follow-up, and I did that already. So we say 3 days later, I did a follow-up, but also put the screenshot again. So I will go in and say, okay, image personalization template, this is the follow-up one, and I will set that one in. Then I can add more and more steps, and in the end, I have different options, right? I can do a withdraw. So if they never connected to me, I want to withdraw. And by the way, I forgot to add the connection request up here, so maybe I should have done that. So I can go in and modify that and add it a little bit higher up, as you will see right here when it comes in. I don't know, I got the wording wrong here. But I'm going to say, hey, first name. And then it will do Sales Navigator, profile screenshot, connection request, email, and so on and so forth. You can also set the connection request up here if you run a no branch when we can verify the email. Or you can just set the no branch to do nothing and just say, I only want the one that has an email address that is 100% verified to ensure that it's running correctly. So that's very, very simple. So that's how you will do the image hack. And for the ones that use Hyperice, when you do a LinkedIn request, the LinkedIn Messenger, you can copy paste in URL here. Now it's important to know with Hyperice, Sales Navigator does not support embedding a GIF in a message. So if you use Hyperice and have a GIF you want to embed in a picture, you need to run the find Sales Navigator LinkedIn URL if you start out at Sales Navigator. Again, if you just run regular LinkedIn, you don't need this part. But if you use Hyperice to embed a GIF from them, that's very important. You use the find Sales Navigator LinkedIn URL before, otherwise it's not embedded and doesn't seem interactive, because that's how LinkedIn is designed, unfortunately. Just want to explain that. And then basically you save this flow, you rename it, we call it demo day. As an example, I hit start, and then it will simply just start executing date. Now remember, we run 100 people through here, but we only do 40 connection requests a day. So we will only take 40 verified emails and connect an email per day. So if you run 500, it'll run over those 20 days, right? And let's see if I'm bad. It's really bad right now. Sorry, 500. 25 days, sorry, but you get it. So it'll run over those 25, the next 25. Should be 10 days, right? So if we know 500, 12.5, right? 40, 12.5 days that it will take, because it run 40 out of the 500 a day, giving that we verified over 500 emails. So that's how this flow is running. Now I want to see if I've been told that I can access here, and this is not live yet. This is for my testing, but you can access the inbox link, but it will not work for you. You'll just most likely see dummy data. So let's see if I have the option to get in there, clear my cookie here. And let's see if you can see unified inbox. So seems to become my computer is running slow for a second. Just bear 1 second, guys. Let's try again here. Let's see if anybody put in any questions so far. So far, so good. Okay. I might have a catchy issue. Let's just try to see if I can open up with Firefox here and get your unified inbox up and running. There we go. Okay. Let's make sure we close the Firefox then. So unified inbox, and actually this is the first time I get to just have it here. This is all dummy data because the API haven't been connected yet. So basically there'll be a sidebar coming for the reply. So the reply will show here, and you will get it this week. There will be some UI updates here. The LinkedIn is too big, right? But basically what happened, there will be an email icon or a LinkedIn icon, depending on where they came from. It will show the message subject that you used when you sent and what contact you sent to. If you had a tag, it will show there too. So basically, before I go here, I just want to show one thing. So it shows you the platform. If you hit dismiss, it's going to dismiss this message for 24 hours. And then the message will first show up tomorrow. And then you have an ability to enter it there. The moment you enter somebody, it's going to disappear. So this is like a hit list you have daily. So let's go in here and see. So basically it's going to say, and again, this is just test data I have right here. It's going to say the message that I have here and what I replied, the timeline. And basically I get then the ability to reply here. I see that I didn't get the send button on this update that I got here, but basically I have the same formats that you have in email filter. Then you type your reply, you hit send, and that's it. Either if they come from email or LinkedIn. So that's how it's going to work. It's going to be super simple. So we're also working later on a timeline view. So you get like more structured view where you can see all the messages open with your timeline of what you replied. But this is the first edition and it will get live this week. You will also be able to, the links will go so you can click on the profile, open the LinkedIn profile of the individual by clicking on the icons. But basically it will help you to have a place, because if you are sending messages out from regular LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you will learn one thing. You will get replies in 2 different platforms. And that actually is a pain in the neck, because you see somebody, suddenly you get an email, somebody replied to you, you go to LinkedIn, you don't see it. Then you go to Sales Navigator, you reply, but then you don't get it in time and you don't reply in time. And then suddenly you have messages everywhere. That's why we wanted to get the unified inbox out to you guys. So something a lot of our customers have requested. And that's why we decided to move ahead. And now it's finally coming here. Our team is also working for companies, we call it agency version, but if you're larger companies, it will be subdivisions. So it will give you the ability, it will come up here next to the Salestools logo, drop down, where you can add either divisions or clients. As the manager, you'll be able to log in and work on those clients, while the client, they will not be able to see the billing details, and they will neither be able to see the accounts over them, just your accounts. If you have employees within the master account, you can set the permissions to access customers or not. So if you use internally and you want them not to be able to access the ones below you, your clients, your subdivisions, you're going to have permissions for that. That's about 2 weeks away. And sub accounts will have the ability to have 1 website tracker per account. There's some major changes being done in the backend to support that as we speak. So I hope that made a bit sense. So far, no questions. So far, so good. So I hope the unified inbox made sense to you. The sorting will come live, but I just got a build set up to show you what is here. All the underlying API is done. You just need to connect the last parts and rewrite a little bit, but it's something that usually takes an hour or 24 hours, depending on the complexity. So you will get this week. It will send an email when it's live. Now, the contact section of Salestools, where everybody comes in when you download them from LinkedIn. And you'll be able to go in and see the details we have, shoot them to your CRM, open the LinkedIn profile. If you use the sequences, the playbooks, you'll be able to see all the actions happening there. We are, in the long-term goal, working on merging those two together. So the details will come there as well when they get merged fully. A/B split testing in automations when you add, I'll just show you right here. When you're adding something, I'll just take something that was simply created. When you add an email here, we're adding A/B split testing so you can add multiple mails in one step to test what works better and get statistics on it. That's part of that later migration we're doing to really combine everything into simplified. Another thing our team is working on right now is, instead of having Sales Navigator start point, we will enable either a CSV file or a contact. And if you have a contact start point here, what will happen is we'll get under my contacts button. So I'm going to select the contacts, filter them based on all their attributes. And then instead of adding to a playbook, there will also come one add to an automation. You pick the name, you send them over. This will enable you to import a CSV file and sync them all over, and also your third-party data sources if you do that. So this is another great workflow that we're working on based on a lot of the requests we have from customers. Now, visitor tracking, it's pretty cool. It's getting better and better every day. And one of the secrets behind that is every time customers sending an email, there's an open, we capture the IP. So we had a large database, and most people have a problem finding out what small companies are coming to the website, because website tracking is typically best for enterprise companies, large companies coming with a lot of IPs. So how do you track the small companies? Well, a lot of our customers are sending thousands of emails every single day, and every time somebody opens the email without any further action, we return that IP and bind it to that domain name. If there's a click, we also bind the device so it's easier to track across the network for customers later. So this is also one of the benefits of the ecosystem we built. So your website tracking is improving every single day. So if you don't have the tracker on your website, I do recommend it, because you know what? I know that BPT strategy, they're interested in us, and I can reach out to them. Now, some customers in the past bought Lead Forensics, Lead Feeder, whatever they called, and they will then go to LinkedIn and prospect those companies that came, because the fact is only 2% are buying your product right now, or actually become a lead. That's why we built automations for this, and we improved them a lot. So basically, you have this JavaScript tracker on your website, and you have visitors that you like to talk to. So we're missing something. We need to connect the dots right. That's why this automation we built here, and I'll show you an example right now. When you have a visitor on your website, and you can particularly go in and say, I only want the one that came from the pricing page, I want everyone. You can define that right here. This is actually a running one, so I cannot change it right now. We locked it. I have to stop it, because otherwise, if you start modifying a running automation, you're gonna restart if you just start changing it. So we actually put in a lot of functionality around safeguarding that, so nobody got confusing experience. So basically, what we did here is, and this does require Sales Navigator, this flow. Every time we have a visitor that comes to our website, that is not a customer, because we uploaded customers in our backend, but you can also do it under tracking setup. You can upload domain names and block them. We asked the system to go to LinkedIn, prospect the CMO, marketing director, VP of sales, download 3. And you can see here, actually, I did a mistake. I should have changed the tag to website visitor, but as it's running, I don't want to do that. Now, what happens is, we go automatically without doing anything, 5 minutes after every visit, this platform of Salestools, the automation goes to LinkedIn, find those people, download them, throw them into this flow, send them an email, send them a LinkedIn request, And sometimes I'm wondering when I get like, that sounds interesting on LinkedIn, I'm like, what's interesting? And then I actually have to go back here. And that's one of the things why Unified Inbox will solve that. Because then I will know, hey, he was added to this campaign. But right now I get a reply on LinkedIn. I'm like, wait a second, I got to go back to Salestools and figure out where it came from. And it's a great way to book new leads. So imagine you drive traffic, you're a marketer, you drive traffic to your website. What's better than getting more leads out of them? The people that were right in front of you showing high intent, but didn't buy yet. They might be unsecure about what you're offering. They might miss the pricing. Maybe you have a different pricing strategy where you have a conversation first. That's okay. Maybe that customer didn't understand that. So you want to get in front of them. And that's why this flow is so powerful, because the ones that aren't sure, you do get in front of them. So that's how we build this. So basically we recommend you design exactly as you want. You got to build the email templates and then your messaging. And that's what it's all about. You need to turn on the flow and it just runs on autopilot 24/7. Download the people, contact them on your behalf, and there's a fit. Of course, some small companies, if you're searching the CEO and it's a German company and he's called Geschäftsführer, with some founders in Germany called, and LinkedIn's algorithm doesn't match those two, well, then you might not get a result. So if you're having visitors primarily from Germany, you might also add in German words such as Geschäftsführer. I don't speak much German, but I do speak a little bit on Danish. So that's just some of the examples where if you are in a local environment, you gotta tweak the job titles to your ideal custom profile. And basically what we recommend is to map out 3 things, like who is the decision maker, who does the research, and that's typically the influencer, and who's going to use it every single day. You might want to touch all 3. You might even design different messaging to all 3. So those are some of the basics of that. Now, Playbooks is also something that we've seen a lot of customers actually are running on. And what Playbooks enables you to do is to set up a one-to-one email campaign. So basically, when you download a list of contacts, you just run a LinkedIn search, either from Sales Navigator or regular LinkedIn, do nothing else. Then go to my contacts, say on the left, I'll just show you that, just to be clear. You go out here and say email status verified. You sort it, just take all of them, and then you add them to that playbook that you just designed. Of course, you can fill them by tags so they get into the right playbook. You hit add to playbook, and then start that email one-to-one campaign. And why this is important, and also the schedules, it has a schedule component that is coming to automations. Schedules can be set up by time zone. And that's very important because they give you the ability to say, hey, I'm sitting in Europe, but I want to prospect and reach out during Pacific Standard Time. So basically, what does that give me the ability to do? Well, I can set up that time zone. I'm going to design the playbook. I say, these emails are only going out in Pacific Standard Time. So I make sure they land in him or hers inbox when it matters to them, when I have the more likelihood to get a reply. So playbooks are set up for all these benefits. So to give you an example, and this is a bad example here, just going to click on the right part. So we have this very basic test. I have like 3 levels of testing. You can turn them on and off as you like. But basically, you can put in as many variables and templates as you want, and you A/B split test what is working better. New steps, when you do a step, you can say automated email. A manual email we don't recommend, because then you have to go in and write a manual email for every single person and get a task to do that. And it will be very time consuming. And then the people wouldn't execute the next steps if you have done so. Seems like my camera is not moving. So if there's someone that cannot see anything or have a question, please do let me know that. But the camera seems to be frozen. I'll just write in the chat. Please let me know if everybody can hear and see me. Do you hear me? Okay. You know what? I'll turn off my webcam. You hear me and you see my screen. I'm not moving on the screen, that's why. Just wanted to make sure because my webcam froze. Okay, guys. So basically, you can set up an automated email. Typically, when you start out a campaign, I would say 10 minutes after you add. Don't use 1 minute because we want to add them properly into the queue. Then the follow-up steps, you can say, I want 3 days, 2 hours, 11 minutes, for example. You pick in your mailbox, set the schedule. So you can also do different schedules in Playbook. What's smart about that is one step could be Pacific only morning, one could be Pacific only afternoon, one could be all day in Pacific time zone, for example. Then you save it, and then in each step, then you can simply just thank you all for confirming you hear me fine. Then you can add the templates, you build them out and say, okay, sales to, let's try this one. First name, you go in first name, then write something, probably the worst subject ever, but I just want to write something. So basically you write up your entire template, then you go down here, you turn it on right here, and then it's running. Again, another one, and then I turn it on, then you do image split testing. So it's super simple, Playbooks. You have full stats of how you're doing, the delivery rate. This is one of my dummy tests here. You can always change your settings. And you can turn on and off the unsubscribe link and so on and so forth. So hope that makes a lot of sense. So automations and visitor tracking, again, super straightforward. Integrations, if somebody's not sure how to set up the integration, again, if you have Salesforce, it's a one-click setup. Salesforce has custom fields. If you have HubSpot, one-click setup, there's custom fields. You will see this custom field button on all of them, but some CRMs doesn't support that. So if it's empty, it's not a mistake. There's just no custom fields for that CRM supported. Another thing I forgot to mention in the automations is when you build an automation and in the end you want to sync them over to your CRM, you have this export to function where you can then choose the integration you're running. Then you apply it, then when it finishes, it's gonna move the people to the CRM system automatically without you doing anything. Alternatively, you can go to your contacts and then you can move them all in one go, just say export and integrate and choose the CRM of your liking. Now, since we have support from Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce as well, the lead and contact stage is there, but modern CRMs, I would say the challengers in the market, such as HubSpot and as well the Pipedrive, just use the lead status, while the old ones, they have a contact stage, which is applied to an account, so they have a more enterprise-like mindset, while modern CRMs, you just use the lead part. But you'll see the logos on the both. That's why you have them both, but the function will be the same except for Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce. So I hope that makes sense. If you do it as CSV export, let me just show you how that is working. The CSV export to CSV. You can create templates of how you want your exports. So I can call it here demo 1, 2, 3. I save it. So next time I come in, I can say, I just want this one or this one, and I can export it. I also give the file a name. If one, I hit export. And then under my export history, everything will be sitting. So it's very simple. You can also import CSV files. When you import people, it's important to have a first name, last name, and a company name. Otherwise, we can't import them. And if you import a company, it's important to actually have a company name. We have seen people trying to import addresses and it fails. So I believe most of you will not do that, but I just want to clear it out. Integration exports will show if there was a failure of something sent into Soho. Now this is a count because Soho changed the API system from version 1 to 2.0, whatever they call it. With a login like HubSpot does it instead of API key. This account was tested, so you see some failures here, and that was while running just on Soho. But I see right here, when you have this one, everything was successfully synchronized. So those are some of the basics. The dashboard will tell you how many companies that were tracked on your website in the last 7 days. It'll also show you if you're running on Playbooks right now, what actions happen, and so on and so forth. How many companies and people are in the Playbooks. This will be redone to work around automations being more modernized during this quarter. So that's something that will happen. We'll also be investigating how to set up, if you have sub-accounts agencies, how can we set up the dashboard to support that so you can see an overview of every single account in a snapshot. So it makes it easier for companies to have a full overview of customers or subdivisions. So that will come as well, but currently that is something that will come a bit later. And I think that answers most of it. So I think we walked pretty fast over the core functionalities. If anybody has questions, I do urge you to write them so I can address them. There could be anything about the platform. It could be about integrations, could be about email, how we do things. Ask me anything, I'll be happy to reply. There's a Q&A section where you can ask it, or in the chat if you can find that. I will monitor both of them. And then I'll be happy to jump into that. So please type those up now. Otherwise, I think we walked over what is needed right now, right here. And again, if I walk too fast, something you want me to show again, I will be more than happy to start back and show you all of that. So I just give it a couple of minutes to run through that. So let's see here. Otherwise, some of you in templates, actually I didn't show you that. You can create folders. You don't create folders from out here, but you do, and let me just find one here. I have one not in a folder, I wanna move it. So I will put it into personalization here. If I wanted to create a new folder, I will type the name here, put new folder. And you can also choose if you want with your team to have, I'm gonna click out here. Let's go back. Let me just make sure that I added it perfect. I can make sure if I want to have it private or share it with my team, my email templates. The next part we're also coming with is with our partnership with Hyperrise. We will enable the API and there will come a drop down here so you can embed all the pictures from Hyperrise. And we'll also work to get that into the LinkedIn messages. So that is something that is happening in our pipeline for the ones that use that. I know a lot of our users are using Hyperrise as well. So that is something that is coming from our team. But you might have noticed we actually rebuilt the whole layout here, how that is running. So we have a question here. So Fabricio, he's new to the system. I know there's a lot of old customers, a lot of new, so that's why I want to address everyone. Okay, so Fabricio, you want to set up a campaign. So let's take it all over. So I will go in and create new automation. So let's see here. I would like to see how to set up a campaign from step one. I imagine the start is to send invitation, then third. Okay, so let's say you're running on regular LinkedIn. So let's go in here. First of all, you're going to install the plugin. It'll be a big blue banner. You make sure you update your session cookie. And then after, you go in and say, I want to make a search. Then we go to people. Then you go in and say, I want second or third level connections. The reason why is you don't want to send maybe the same message to first level connections. So let's pull that out. Now, of course, I would normally search more deeper in my search. Then instead of taking Sales Navigator search extract, that's what you do if you had a Sales Navigator URL. If you have a regular, you take it right here. You go in, I want the first 1,000 people. You can add a tag so it's easy to find them later. I will say remove prospect if they reply to me on LinkedIn or by email. Then I start the process. Now, Fabricio, the next step you're going to do is you want to send a connection request. So I'm just going to move around this part here. So I'm going to go in and say connection request. Then I go in and say, hey, first name. I mean, there's many ways to do a good connection request. It depends on what you're selling, what your objective is, and how you want to sell. Are you building a network? Are you trying to see if they fit? Generally, you need to have them to actually say yes first. I was proud. Or this is very American, but this actually is often word. Sign your company in my territory. You know what's better? The company, right? I was signed in my territory. I want to introduce myself. This sometimes works, but as an example. Now I'm sending up a connection request. Now the next part is I want to focus on is, do I have a verified email or not? I explain you why. We go to LinkedIn. What Salestools to download is the first name, the full name, right? We then split the first name, last name, remove all the nonsense people write. I have an MBA. I have one too, but it's literally useless these days, right? So it's really not important to write. So we're going to take Lauren and Berger. We know he's EMEA VP at sales. So we have algorithm to read these lines. So we split this up as a job title and enter our server, and we know the blue star. When it enters into our servers, we use the API from Extractor. Then we look up the company blue star, we return the domain. Now when we have this, we take Lauren and Berger and the domain name, and then we run what we call email verification. First step is that our product is running a dummy test. Does this company have a match all mechanism on the domain name? That means whatever at bluestar.com is sent to that mail, it get to an inbox. Typically, you will see very small businesses have that because they're afraid of losing email, while midsize and above typically don't have it. And I think Gmail by default have it turned off, so you have to find out how to turn it on, and Microsoft as well. So most companies went away from that. That's the good news. Now we tested that they don't have a catch-all. Now what we typically do is we have an index of what is the pattern per domain. So if we have a match on the pattern, we test that first. Let's say first name, last name, and bluestar.com. Then we send an MX handshake to see if the mailbox exists from an IP. We have about 2,000 IPs right now that we're sending random IP requests with, because if you send to the same mail server, same IP, they're going to blacklist you very fast. Then if we have a match that the email is verified, then they go over to the yes bucket. And why do they do that? Well, we only want to send to verified emails. I'll tell you why. Google and Microsoft, they're very, very sophisticated now. So they hash your email when it enters the server. And if this hash has a lot of bouncing, they're going to send future emails to spam. That means you're doing a great effort, but all your future email goes to spam. You don't want that. So that's why we say only emails, verified emails. We estimate about, an average, 30% of our emails, they get verified, 70% we can't verify them for a lot of reasons. So that's what you should estimate happening here. Now, if you don't verify them, then I will go to LinkedIn. I will probably also, right here, I'll probably put a delay in before. So say 2 hours, for example, after the connection request. Then over here, I will say, okay, I connected to them. I actually want to give them some time to answer me first, because I just put another delay on the no bucket. So I say I give them 2 days to accept my connection request. We're also working on a part like we have this one, email verified, if they're connected to you, so you can send them yes or no, so you can send them both directions. That is something we're working on as well. But other than that, in this case, just to show how you can do it today, then I will set up the message. And over on the other side, then I will put a delay. It'll be 2 days after I send the email. Then I'll do a LinkedIn message and so on and so forth. And then I can run through as many follow-ups as I want. I have customers that have about 118 steps inside the automations. I have one, the build is so big that all our flow here is no longer making like lines. So we had to update the UI for that. We've never seen that. And we didn't run a test where we designed just for the visual to see how 120 connections look. To give you an example here, if you send this email template introduction, then we say you wait, let's say wait 2 days, right? Now, if you wait 2 days, you can do another thing. You can go in and say, hey, what if they open the email, or what if they click the link in the email? If that's a yes or no, then I can decide what to get out. If they didn't open the email, maybe I want to send the same email, but with another subject. So I cloned this one, but another subject, and then I would edit it there to make sure they actually get to read it. If they did read it, I might have a different follow-up message. If you add it instead, let's say there was not open email, but they clicked the link. Maybe you want the action to be different, and then you can design your entire flow how you want. Fabricio, I hope that answered your question and kind of got more deeper in it. So I hope that made sense. So let's see here now. Thank you, that made sense, good. So let's take Torsten. When can we create automations and copy those to sub-accounts client? So I want to share one thing. So team automations right here, today you can clone from your team members. So I can clone Jordana's automation here and rebuild it for myself. So basically I copy it and I give it a name, super simple. When the agency sub-accounts come live, we will have the ability to clone as well from the master accounts down to the sub-accounts. So you can set up master templates here and then clone them down. Typically, let's say, as we come with unlimited users, you could, if you have more automations on your account, you could assign some for an account, create a dummy person, and then just copy from them. That would be one way to do it. So I hope that answered the question. Bruce is asking to run over the LinkedIn screenshot automation. So let's do that. So firstly, you got to create the template. And it takes 2 seconds to show. So what I created is this one image template. I put in the text I needed, and basically what I did here is I then make a new line. I hit the blue button. First, the one here on the right, the only thing you can edit is the sizing. Now the setting together, we will do more update on this one. So it's a pain in the ass, it's gonna be first. So basically, I can either delete my picture or replace it here. The one on the right, leave it as it is because it has a unique URL that then will work from the whole automation. So you set that up, either delete your picture or replace it. And then you're just gonna have this one, for example. And you can, of course, change the settings if you want it bigger. Then you design as you want, you save it. I'm just gonna cancel in this case. Now, when you did that, then you go to an automation. I'm just gonna go in and edit something that is not sending. I think this was a team automation, right? So let's go on now. The one I just made before. So I made one for this in the early start of the call. And I wanna explain one thing. If you use Sales Navigator, it's gonna take a screenshot from Sales Navigator. It's gonna look a bit awful. So what I would do, and I will just go back to this one thing, what they call. We start out with Sales Navigator. We did the search in Sales Navigator. Then I said, if email is verified, then I add in find Sales Navigator LinkedIn URL, because then take a screenshot from the real LinkedIn profile, not from Sales Navigator. Then I add the next step, LinkedIn profile screenshot. Then we capture the screenshot from the regular LinkedIn account instead of the Sales Navigator account. Then after I embed, I put a connection request here, but it's not a must. I could delete that. Then I embedded the template that has the personalization part on it. And that's basically it. Then you just start it. So that should be super simple. If that made sense, Bruce, please let me know. If you need me to clarify it again, write in the questions and I will jump to the next one. So Benedict, he says, hey Jasper, I sell niche domains, example, dentisthonolulu.com, lawyers in Anchorage, and so on. Can I request for funds starting from when I search via LinkedIn the prospect that are related to those domains? Then what should be effective LinkedIn messages and emails messages related to the domains that I'm selling? Thanks in advance. So first of all, I would say you probably have to make a campaign per domain. So let's say dentist in Honolulu. I would most likely go in and search for dentist in Honolulu, right? So I'm going to run the search for people that has a dentistry in Honolulu, or whoever is in the marketplace business for that, their lead generation to resell leads. Then I will build a new automation. So if I go in here and say LinkedIn search extractor, I'll put in the LinkedIn link. Let's say there was only 100. I'll set that one up. Now, you will do the typical part, LinkedIn message and email template. What I would do is probably then focus on the messaging. I mean, the messaging will change from the domains. So if you want to sell the dentist in Honolulu, you have to understand what typically will make, and you probably have better data than me around that, but what makes people buy a domain around the business. You probably have to put some SEO into it, because if you're searching dentist in Honolulu and you're tired of paying $5 or $10 per click, and you are losing every single day ad spend on that, you can invest and actually get this domain, create a landing page that puts people over. And I can give you a good example on that. Right now, I'm sitting in my bay in Spain, and I needed something for my wife, an e-number, so we get an alarm. Really, really simple, right? So I clicked on this AdWord, and now I don't want to do it for the lawyer. I'm just going to take the website. It's a silly landing page. Explain how you do it. Instead of waiting for an appointment you can get, because you couldn't get an appointment, you can pay €200 to get in 48 hours. So I did that. It turned out she had about 5 landing pages around this. And no matter where I click, I will actually come to this law firm. So they actually mastered that really, really well. And I think that's maybe one of the things you want to put into it. And that's one example of how I got to pay €200 for something that is free, but I needed it, otherwise I couldn't get an alarm for my house. And then the wait time to get at the police station one, there was no available time, so this was the only way I could do it. Again, she was able to get me to pay for that because she had all the right domains around this, and also the AdWords. And it just seemed more, I mean, it's not like a very good landing page, but it seemed more trustworthy. And I think if you can benefit some of those thoughts into how you're explaining to a client, I mean, if you're looking for a lawyer in Anchorage, it's a great domain example. Maybe that's a referral business to lawyers. Maybe it's one law firm you sell it to, and people come that way. So I think you try to incorporate some of those thoughts. Hope that makes sense. Do we have more questions? Because otherwise I think I pretty much walked over all of them. And I will do some virtual funnel hackathons where we actually write some of these things pending after. I think there's a few more spots. We try to keep them very limited. We did send out email invitations in our Facebook group that are sitting a link, but we actually try to write some of these funnels live together as a group and give some insights. So if you didn't join and you want to join, it starts in 10 minutes. So go ahead and join there. Other than that, I think we answered everything. So thank you all for your questions, and I'm happy I could answer them. So, well, let's get on, close some more deals, and really I urge you to try out the profile part, because it's actually working really, really well. And it actually, the response I got was higher than I anticipated. So if you get very creative around that, you will see a high engagement, because people, they really see that, first of all, you did check them out. There's a screenshot. There's no automation out there doing that. It was some crazy idea I got. And I told the engineering team, hey, let's try to do this, because I did some manual one where I tested it, and people actually replied. I was like, hey, this could work for our customers. Let's get it done. So I urge you to do that. Give me your feedback. We will make it a little bit easier in the template builder, but it's come step by step. We want to get out in front of you right away. So thank you all for today, and we're on the chat if there's anything. Other than that, if you join the virtual hackathon in 8 minutes, I'll see you there. Thank you.